I used to always want to be viewed as a nice girl, a nice person, a nice friend, a nice neighbor, a nice daughter. And that all changed once I realized how dangerous it can really be. I have two stories from Greece that completely changed my perspective on the world. So I'm going to share them with you. So, when I was 18, I went backpacking in Europe for 4 months. And when I was in Greece, I was about 3 months into that trip and I was staying at a hostel. I met these two Australians. It was their first day there. And on their second day, so the day after I met them, we were like, let's go to the Parthenon. Let's go to the Acropolis. Let's see it. Like, that's one of the biggest things to do in Athens. With the Australians, there was one boy and there was one girl, and they were both about the same age. I think they were about my age at the time, so they were between like 18 and 20. Something that is important to note is that in Europe, there are these scammers that are around every single like big monument that you can think of. So think like the Eiffel Tower, think Vatican City, think the Parthenon, the Acropolis. One of the scams that these people do is they'll put a bracelet on your wrist and then they'll demand that you pay for it. They'll try to say that you stole it, or they'll try to say that you need to pay it. The way that this scam works is they pressure you, they talk really fast, they'll throw compliments at you so that you inevitably pay for the bracelet. I also heard that these bracelets can be used to mark you for trafficking. I don't know if that's true, but it's something that I heard. And as a girl who was traveling by herself at 18 years old, I was not going to take any risks at all when it came to that. So, anyway, this wasn't something that I thought to warn the two Australians about because, first of all, a lot of times they don't bother you if you're in a group. And because there was three of us, I was like, they're probably going to leave us alone. And also, the other part of it, I think, was that I just grew so accustomed to it because I went to so many of the places where those scammers like to hang out. And I had learned my own way to deal with those, which was just to keep looking forward, don't look at them. They'll yell at you, they'll like call you names, they'll do whatever they can to try and get your attention. But I learned that if I just confidently walk away, I don't look at them, they leave me alone. So we get up near the Parthenon and I see a couple of these scammers on our right side, and I just keep walking, right? Like, didn't think anything of it, went into my like confident mode. Literally, it felt like a setting that I could change in my brain when I was over there. Maybe that was like a survival technique, I don't know. But switched in my brain, walked straight ahead, didn't look at them. I got about 10 feet away before I realized that the Australians were no longer with me. And I turned back around, and the girl had a bracelet on her wrist. And I had a moment of panic. So I walk over to them and she's like saying, no, 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 like I don't want it, it's beautiful, but no, no, thank you, I don't want it. And he was like, no, 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 like it looks beautiful on you, it looks beautiful. And she's like, thank you, but I really don't want it, but thank you. And so I come over. As soon as I get over there, I take the bracelet off her wrist, throw it on the ground, and I was like, we're going. So we walk away. He starts yelling at us, whatever. Thankfully, those scammers don't typically get physical with you. They'll just yell at you, they'll call you names, etc., etc. We get a little bit further away and I start explaining to her. I say, I'm so sorry for not giving you a heads up with this. It is very important that you do not talk to them, that you do not look at them. They are not like nice shop owners trying to sell you like a high quality product. They are scammers. And I told her, I heard that that might be used to mark you for trafficking, but even if that's not what it's used for and it is just the scam and that's it, they will keep harassing you until you give them money. So it is still good to just be direct. So anyway, I tell her all of this. I give her the context. I told both of the Australians, I was like, you're gonna see them around every major tourist spot, like tourist destination, because that's where they get the most revenue. They're not gonna get it from the locals. So I explained all of this, and her response is something that completely changed how I view the world. Her response was, I just didn't want to be mean. It looked like he spent so much time on that. I didn't want to be mean. I just wanted to be nice about it. This is after I told her that it could be used to mark you for trafficking. She didn't want to be mean. She wanted to be as nice as she could be. I tried to explain to her, You don't owe them niceties. They are trying to scam you or do something worse. You don't owe them your kindness. You don't owe them anything. They are there trying to get your money by harassing you, talking really fast at you, insulting you, pressuring you physically and also with their words, by being louder, by talking really fast. You owe yourself the confidence to keep yourself safe. That's what you owe to yourself. And I realized that as women, there are so many times where me in my life, or I've seen in my friend's life, in my family's life, that we say yes when we really don't want to because we want to be seen as a nice person. We don't want to be mean. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to step on people's toes. And it really got me thinking, how often has this put women in really dangerous scenarios? So that is the first one. So basically, the second story I feel like was the universe was like, girl, you need to learn this lesson. And as if seeing what happened to the Australian girl wasn't enough of a like, hey, being nice, trying not to be mean can put you in really dangerous situations. It was like, I'm gonna put you in one real quick, show you learn. Like, so the message really sinks in. So I was at a bus stop in Athens. I had just gotten back from Volos, which is another city in Greece, and I was trying to get a taxi back to my hostel. I don't know if you heard those fireworks. That was crazy. Anyway, I was trying to find a taxi. Now, red flag number one is I get into the taxi and he's like, what are the directions to your hostel? And I feel like usually with a taxi, they have their own navigational system, so they don't need to ask you, like even if they're just using their phone. But I pulled it up on my phone and I was like trying to tell him the directions. And he was like, where am I turning? And I said, and then he's talking to the girl in the front seat, which also is another weird thing, is a different girl got in the car with us. So he was taking both of us and he didn't even know exactly where he was taking me. So the fact that there was another girl in the car with us was just weird. And so I pulled up the navigation on my phone and then I said, like I was trying to find like the street name because my phone wasn't loading very fast. He goes, and then he makes fun of me to the girl in the passenger seat in Greek. And I was like, that's weird. I was also trying to show him like the directions on my phone. I was trying to show him, so I was like, yeah, you turn here, whatever. And he goes, grabs my phone out of my hand, just snatches it from the front seat. I'm sitting in the back. And that was red flag number two. The first was the making fun of me in Greek for saying, And then the second was snatching my phone out of my hands. And instead of, in that moment, being like, this is scary, I need to place a very firm boundary of give me my phone back and communicate that that is not okay, that I would like to be dropped off, pull the car over. I just sat quietly because I didn't want to be mean. I was trying to be nice. And also, I was scared. I was intimidated. I didn't know what to do. And this is after 3 months of so many of these situations, which should have been great practice for this. And I still was having a lot of difficulty with it. So then the next thing that happens is he was driving like a maniac and then pulls over on the side of a highway, lets me out of the car, grabs my stuff, throws it on the sidewalk, and then demands like 50 euros. And keep in mind, this was like a 7-minute trip, and he didn't even drive me all the way to the front of my hostel, and I still paid it. I didn't communicate anywhere in this entire process that I didn't feel safe, that this wasn't okay. I didn't report him. Because I was just so scared. And so if that happened to me after 3 months of living in conditions like that, like having to practice every single day, overriding the need to be nice in my brain, and then at the end of that, I still couldn't do it, it makes sense why it's so hard for women to do that in day-to-day life when the stakes are lower. All of that to say, I feel like it is so coded into our brains as women that we should be nice, that we shouldn't rock the boat, that we don't want to be viewed as mean. And I feel like that does such a disservice to us because we need to be communicating our boundaries. We need to be very assertive when we don't feel safe, when we don't want to do something. And it is so much more dangerous to want to be the nice person. And it just made me think about all the women who have been in really scary situations and have stayed in them because they weren't taught that skill, because they hadn't practiced that skill, because they were too scared to speak up. So anyway, those are my two stories from Greece that made me realize how dangerous it is to be nice. And I really hope you learned something from this. I really hope you share this with your daughter, with your mom, with somebody that you know in your life that really struggles with wanting to be nice and not wanting to come across as a mean person. To realize that saying no, being assertive, being confident, speaking out for what you want, that is where your power is. And I feel like a lot of women just don't learn how to use that. And I really hope that this video helps. Anyway, thanks for being here for the second video on my channel. I'm really excited to share what I've learned over the years, over traveling, and hopefully connect with some pretty amazing people. And yeah, bye!